After all, it's difficult to be romantic with your husband with another woman in the room, especially if the woman's just been murdered.
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as Jean and Pat Abbott, those popular characters of detective fiction created by Francis Crane. NBC invites you to join Pat and Jean each week at this time for another exciting recorded adventure in romance and crime. Tonight's story, The Canary Yellow Sack. And here is Claudia Morgan as Jean Abbott to set the stage for tonight's puzzle in murder.
I'd gone to Pat's office to call for him and take him home. Pat's a very successful private detective in San Francisco, and you'd think you'd find him with secretaries, talking long distance, consulting perhaps with some brilliant criminologist. But when I came in...
Hello, darling.
Pat Abbott, it's hardly becoming to an outstanding detective to be found at his desk reading a nursery book.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, Pat?
Hansel and Gretel. I bought it for a birthday present. For my nephew, Donald. Remember him?
Oh, well, that's different.
He's such a cute kid.
Yes, he's very cute, but that'll do, dear. Put the book away. You're going to solve a mystery for me.
What's the problem?
It's about this newspaper clipping. I took it out of the bulletin's classified section. Go on, read it.
For sale, old chromo, picture of Zachary Taylor. Well, of all the silly...
Go on.
Chromo, picture of Zachary Taylor. Price, $12.30, right box 27. Well, what about it?
I sent them a check for $12.30, Pat.
You actually want a second-hand chromo of Zachary Taylor?
I most certainly do. For your information, my great-grandfather was related to Zachary Taylor.
Well, do tell. Imagine being married to a celebrity all this time and not knowing it. Did you get the chromo?
No, I got the check back. With a note saying they were very sorry the chromo had been sold.
Oh, bad luck. So what?
Well, I thought that's all it was, too, but... Look, here's another clipping. Advertising the same thing. I saw it in an out-of-town paper just this morning. Read it, dear.
For sale, old chromo of Zachary Taylor, second-hand. Price, $11.15.
Now, you see, Pat? This ad offering the same chromo at a cheaper price just appeared today. Now, why in the world did they turn me down last week and then offer the same chromo in another paper for less money?
I don't know, dear. Besides, I am not interested.
Pat, it just doesn't make sense. Are you a detective or aren't you? Well, what do you think?
I think a Smirnoff vodka at Leo's would be perfect. Yes, come in.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes?
My name is Stewart. Mrs. Tom Stewart. I need your help, Mr. Abbott.
Well, go ahead. What's wrong?
Well, it's confidential.
Oh, it's all right. This is my wife. We often work together on a case.
Well, it's about my husband.
Mm-hmm.
He's disappeared.
Disappeared? Well, when and where did you see him last?
It all started about 2 weeks ago when I clipped this advertisement from the bulletin. Here, read it.
For sale. Old chromo, picture of Henry Clay, second-hand.
Oh, Pat, it's the same...
Wait a minute. Price, $17.20, box 89.
Well, if that isn't the most amazing coincidence...
Mrs. Stewart, what happened after you saw this ad?
Well, I'm very interested in American history, so I thought I'd buy it. I sent a check to box 89, and then I never heard from them. I wrote again, and finally, the day before yesterday, I sent my husband down to the newspaper office. I told him to get the address of these people and ask them what they'd done about my check.
Did he find them?
Well, I don't know. Tom went down to the newspaper office, and he never came back. I tried to find him. I called every place he might have gone. His office, his friends.
Well, have you reported this to the Missing Persons Bureau?
Yes, but, they're so casual about these things, and I wanted someone who'd take a personal interest in the case. Someone who wouldn't lose a minute. Someone
Mrs. Stewart, what does your husband look like?
Well, he's tall.
How tall?
Oh, 5'8".
Well, that's not very tall.
Well, maybe he's 5'9" or 10. I don't know exactly. He weighs about 150 pounds.
What color hair has he?
Brown. He had brown eyes, and, well, he was very thin.
Thin? 5'8", weighing 150?
Well, I call him thin. He looks sort of...
Pat! She's been shot. What'll I do?
You look after her, Jean. Those shots came from out in the hall.
Pat, what...
Stay with that woman.
Oh, here, Mrs. Stewart. Let me help you. We'll get a doctor. Mrs. Stewart. Mrs. Stewart! Oh, Mrs. Stewart!
Well, they got away, Jean. How's Mrs. Stewart?
Pat, I think she's dead.
What? Here, let me see. Uh-huh. You're right.
Oh, Pat, it's awful.
Give me that phone.
You see, I told you there was something weird about those ads.
Headquarters. Lieutenant Daniels, please.
Oh, what do you think they mean?
Could be a code.
A code? For what?
1 second, darling. Daniels, this is Pat Abbott. Look, you better come over to my place. Fast. The woman has been shot. Yeah, she's dead. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Pat, what are the ads a code for?
I don't know. Let's have a look at Mrs. Stewart.
Well, here's her purse. What's in it?
Yeah, a coin bag, handkerchief, lipstick. There's a ticket. It's an airplane ticket. For the plane to Seattle. Tomorrow morning.
Pat, will you look at these newspaper clippings?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, this one says, for sale. Old chromo, picture of Vice President Marshall, second-hand, price $21.20.
Well, this one says, for sale, old chromo picture of Benedict Arnold, price $8.40. Pat, what do they mean?
Well, let's see. In the first place, nobody on Earth, except you, darling, would actually want a second-hand chromo of any of these fellows. They're advertising something absolutely useless. Something they probably haven't even got.
Oh, well, that's silly, dear. Well, then why advertise at all?
Now, these numbers, the prices, what could they mean? 8:40, 12:30, 11:15.
Pat, that could mean time, not money. Except for the fact that there's no such time as 17:20.
Wait a minute. Could be military time, couldn't it?
Oh?
That's numbered from 1 to 24. 17:20 would be 20 minutes after 5 p.m.
Golly, that's right. What about the names?
Well, let's go a step further. If you're telling someone time, what else might you tell them?
Place.
That's right. Sure, you see. Taylor, Stanton, Marshall. Those could be the names of streets and avenues.
Well, suppose it's true. Where do we go from here?
Well, I know where you go.
Where?
Home.
Home? Now?
Jean, how many times do I have to tell you that detecting is a very dangerous business for you?
Well, if you think with that woman lying there murdered and a mysterious code in the newspaper that I'm going home...
I will not have you running around on these cases. Now, I said go home, Jean.
Well, of all the ridiculous...
Jean.
Yes, dear.
How long is it since anyone has spanked you?
I'm going. I marched very reluctantly out of Pat's office. After I'd been gone about 5 minutes, Lieutenant Daniels arrived. He looked over the scene and examined Mrs. Stewart. Then he questioned Pat.
Pat, I've known you long enough to be very sure you're not mixed up in this, but just the same, I'll have to ask a few questions.
All right, go ahead.
Now, you never saw this Mrs. Stewart until she came to your office today?
That's right.
Did she indicate why she picked you to help her?
Me personally? No. No, she was just impatient with the Missing Persons Bureau. Thought a private detective could move faster.
What did she expect, miracles? Then you say that she told you about her husband disappearing.
Yes.
He disappeared after he went to inquire about a little ad in the newspaper.
That's right.
All right, come on, Pat. What's the gimmick?
I don't pull gimmicks with you, Daniels. I never have. I've told you everything I know.
That would be a novelty. You know, Pat Abbott, I have a lot of respect for you. You do a darn good job. The trouble is you don't always bring the police in on everything that you're doing. Now, this time, suppose we don't play any games,
I'm not playing games. You run a check yet on Mrs. Stewart?
Yeah. One of the boys just called me from headquarters. No police record of her.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, you're stalling. You've noticed something that you're not telling me. What did she say about her husband?
Just gave me a description of him.
Height?
5'8".
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that she said 5'9" or 5'10".
Confound it, Pat. If you don't cut the clowning.
She said he was very thin. Weighed 150 pounds.
5'8", weighed 150, and was thin?
Yes.
Well, aren't you Mother's little helper? What was his first name? What was his occupation?
She didn't say.
Now, that's interesting. A woman you never saw before comes in, says her husband is 5'8", 9, or 10, or maybe he's tall enough to be a basketball player. He's short and heavy, or maybe he's thin, and she didn't even tell you his name. Then somebody strolling by who had nothing else to do came along and shot her. Then you ran out in the hall instantly, but you didn't see them. And all of this is because there's a little ad in the paper selling old chromos of dead presidents that aren't worth a plug nickel. Now, this hasn't been a very pleasant day anyway. My wife burnt the toast this morning. I missed the bus, and maybe I just ought to go home and lie down until tomorrow, huh, Pat? Maybe tomorrow will be my good news day, hmm?
I'm sorry, Lieutenant. I've told you all I know. Excuse me.
Pat Abbott,
Yes?
I'm calling to give you a little advice.
Who is this?
We'll skip that. What I wanted to tell you was very simple. It's just this. Mind your own business, Abbott. Don't tell that cop anything.
Look, if you think you...
Hold on, Abbott. There's someone here who wants to talk to you.
Never mind. Get to the point.
You better listen, Abbott.
Pat, darling.
Jean. Where are you? What is this?
Oh, when I left your office, they were waiting for me in a car. They made me go with them, and I...
See, Abbott? We figured you might go poking around where you weren't wanted, so we invited your wife for a ride. We're gonna hold her, too, till this case sort of cools off.
Now, listen, you
Easy,
rotten...
Abbott. Easy. Just remember, you want your wife back, mind your own business. Keep your mouth shut.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Who was that? Pat, I said, who was that? I haven't seen you this upset since I took $56 off you in that poker game last year. Now, who called?
Little Bo Peep. Wants police help. She lost her sheep and can't find them.
How would you like to get slapped with a charge of withholding information from the police?
How would you like to get sued for false arrest and maybe get busted and end up pounding a late night beat on the Oakland Bridge?
Good afternoon, Mr. Abbott.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Daniels. I guess maybe I'm the Rock of Gibraltar type. Except when it comes to Jean. Her kidnapping threw me for a 30-yard loss. Lieutenant Daniels tried a few more times to worm something out of me, but couldn't get a word. The minute the police had cleared out of my office, I went running to the office of the Bulletin, to the desk where they take classified ads.
Yes, what can I do for you?
I don't want to place an ad. I'd just like to ask you a question.
What is it?
It's about an ad that was in your paper. You see this? Offering a chromo of Zachary Taylor.
Well,
Who placed that ad?
we don't give out that information.
This is very important. I've got to know.
I said we don't give out that information.
Now,
If that's all you wanted, I'm sorry. I'm very busy, so if you please run along.
Now, look. I don't want to get into an argument. I'm just making a simple request. So will you
The
please...
answer is no. N-O.
But it wouldn't...
Aren't you going to leave? Or do I send for the manager?
You don't have to send for anybody. I don't want to make trouble.
What's the trouble, Dorrance?
Oh, Mr. Warren, this fellow wants some information. He wants to know who placed this ad.
It's this ad here, Mr. Warren. I'd appreciate it very much.
Well, let's see it. Oh. I think this ad was mailed in. To find out who sent it, we'd have to go back through our files. It would take some time.
I'll wait.
Besides, this ad is over a week old. It'd mean a lot of checking back. I'm afraid we can't oblige you.
Now, it isn't much of a favor.
It's against our policy, too.
It means a great, great deal to me.
It's against our policy.
All right, skip it.
I'm sorry we can't be of more assistance.
All right, Mr. Warren, all right. I said skip it. Hello.
Finally got back to your office, Abbott.
Now, listen, you let my
Now,
wife...
wait. You better be polite to me, Abbott. Jean's right here in the room with me and the boys. Now, you don't want us to get angry, do you, Abbott? Oh, Jean, say hello to your husband.
Pat,
Yes, Jean, are you all right, dear? Are you all right?
You heard her, Abbott. She's fine so far. Now, look. We called about your visit to the bulletin office, Abbott.
What?
Aren't we smart, though? We know everything you do, don't we? You try to find out who put that ad in for the old chroma, huh?
What about it?
First you spoke to a man named Dorrance. Then you spoke to another jerk named Warren. They turned you down.
Well?
I told you to keep your nose out of this, Abbott. You're disappointing me. Now, I ain't gonna warn you again. This here wife of yours won't look so pretty if they have to drag her out of the river.
I ran back to the office of the bulletin. This time I wasn't going to be stopped. At the classified ad desk, there was a crowd. Excuse me, what's happened?
It's the man who works at the desk, Mr. Dorrance. Oh, it's terrible.
Well, what is?
Well, he was just standing there, and then all of a sudden he just keeled over and died.
He did?
Uh-huh. A heart attack, they say.
Would you step aside? I'd like to go over there. Thank you.
Why, hello.
Hello, Mr. Warren.
Isn't it shocking? After all these years, poor Dorrance has a heart attack, and he's gone.
Yes. It's almost unbelievable. I left the office of the Bulletin and raced across town to the office of the Globe-Dispatch. I had an idea. I wasn't sure it would work, but Jean's life was at stake, and any chance at all was worth taking. I went to the classified ad department of the Globe-Dispatch, and... Now, here's what I want in the ad, please. For sale, second-hand chromo of Aaron Burr. Price, $7.20. I didn't know, of course, if my first idea about the ads being a code was right. But there wasn't anything else I could do. Figuring the name in the ad was the street where a rendezvous took place, and the price was the time of the meeting, I advertised Aaron Burr, $7.20. And at 7:20 the next night, I went to Burr Street. It was in a desolate section of town by the river. The street was deserted, and the lamppost was being repaired, so it was pitch black. I hid in a doorway and waited. At 7:20 sharp, a truck pulled up at the corner. The driver remained at the wheel. A guy who'd been riding in the back got out and strolled around, occasionally looking up the street. After about 10 minutes, the little man called out to the driver.
I don't know where they are, Jackie. Looks like they won't show up.
Excuse me, Bud. Got a match?
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. That's, wait a minute, I got my pocket. Yeah, here we are.
Thanks. Here's something for you. I knocked the little man out cold. Then I jumped onto the back of the truck. And imitating that hoarse voice as best I could. Better go on, Jackie. I'll ride in the back again. They ain't coming. The truck roared down Burr Street, switched off to the main highway, and tore along doing 70. In the back, I had a chance to look around. The truck was filled with barrels of capsules. Little plastic capsules, the kind used to make pills. I kept examining the boxes. Then I found a bag. It contained a white powder with a bitter taste. It wasn't dope, but I thought I knew what it was. In a few minutes, the truck turned and pulled up in front of a huge abandoned warehouse. I hopped off, ran around to the back of the warehouse. I pulled open the door. Slowly. I saw a rickety stairway. I tiptoed up the stairs. I tried some doors. Empty rooms, that's all. Then I saw another door at the far end of the hallway. Jean?
Pat. Oh, darling, darling.
Yes, you all right?
Yes, I'm all right. They didn't hurt me. Pat, how'd you get here? Where are we? They blindfolded me until I got here.
Now, shh. Don't talk now. I've got to get you out of here. I know the way back. I can come here with Daniels later. Now, wait. I'll see if anyone is outside.
Do you see anyone?
Yes. The driver of a truck I used to get here. We better shut this door. Is there another way out of this room?
No, not even a window.
It's a nice spot. Well, the driver doesn't know who I am. Maybe we can bluff our way out. Does he know you?
I don't know. I don't know who brought me here.
Well, we just have to take a chance.
Pat, listen. Listen, they're right outside.
Yes, now keep quiet. If we make a sound, they'll let loose right through the door with Tommy guns. I saw the driver carrying one. Now, shh.
I don't know who the guy was, boss. Just asked me for a match, and he slugged me.
That's the fella I knocked out to get in here. It's too bad I didn't sock him hard enough. I didn't have a chance to tie him up either. He must have come to and raced over here. Now, we've got to get out, Jean. We've got to take a big chance.
Anything. Just let's get out of here.
We'll have to go out the front door. And try talking fast if we meet anybody. Are you ready, darling?
Ready, Pat.
And so far, so good. Now, down the stairs. All right, now, if we can make that big door at the bottom of the staircase, we'll be all right. It's very dark outside. It's only a short run to the highway.
We're not doing badly at all. I wonder where they went.
Oh, don't leave us so soon, Mr. Abbott.
Warren.
Pat.
I didn't expect you to pay us a visit, but now that you've come, why don't you stick around a while?
Pat, you know him.
Yes, Jean, I do. Mr. Warren is the classified advertising manager of the Bulletin. We've met a few times. Last time we met, he'd just murdered one of his employees in the newspaper office, Mr. Dorrance.
Hey, this is the guy, boss. The one who socked me.
Put your hands up, Abbott. You too, Mrs. Abbott. Harry, see if he has a gun.
Okay.
Mr. Dorrance was supposed to have died of a heart attack. But I wouldn't be surprised if the autopsy shows he was poisoned. You get wise to your racket, eh, Warren? Using the ads for tip-offs?
You talk too much, Abbott. People who talk a lot get on my nerves.
He ain't got no gun, boss.
Tip-offs for what, Pat?
Pickups, darling. By their truck. From half a dozen guys working for them who sold them empty pill capsules in a QT. And other guys selling them barbituric acid.
You're really quite bright, Abbott.
I tasted some of that white powder in the truck, Warren. They gave me sleeping pills in the Marines when I was hurt. I remembered it.
Sleeping pills, Pat?
Yes, dear. One of the least known and biggest rackets in America today. Not narcotics. So the federal men don't have anything to do with it. Has to be enforced locally. Makes it very tough for the law and easy for the boys. Runs into millions of dollars. Sold without a prescription by bellhops and flea-bag hotels. In all-night diners by salesmen planted like bookies in business offices.
Well, I thought we'd probably have to kill your wife, Abbott. But you want to make a regular party out of it, don't you? You want to get knocked off, too. Well, we can oblige you.
You shot Mrs. Stewart, too, Warren. You were one of your pals here.
Yes, Harriet got fancy ideas. She didn't like the way we were treating her.
Yeah, so she decided to double-cross you. She came to me with a lead about the ads and the story about a husband who probably doesn't exist. She figured I'd nail you while she took a plane to Seattle.
We caught up with her, though.
Yes, in my office. Then you waited downstairs for Jean. Hoping that would probably keep me off your neck.
Go on, Harry. Take them in the back. Get rid of them.
Okay.
No. Wait. This Abbott here is a smart aleck. His wife wasn't very friendly either. Never mind taking them in the back, Harry. I'd get a kick out of seeing him get a face full of bullets myself. Go on. Give it to him now. Right here.
Pat.
Now, steady, darling. Look, Warren, you can't get away with 4 killings. You pulled 2 already that you'll be picked up for just as sure as...
Yattata, talk again. Go on, give it to those 2, Harry. We're wasting time.
Right.
Put up your hands, Warren.
Lieutenant Daniels.
You heard him, Harry. Drop that gun.
Go on, drop it. I have 20 men outside, so be smart and don't start any fireworks. They just love to celebrate the 4th a little early.
Where the devil
Where did I come from? Out of the nowhere into the here.
Well, I wasn't sure the trick would work, Daniels.
Well, it did. Good idea, Pat.
What trick? Pat, if you don't explain...
Well, you remember the nursery book I was reading, Jean? Hansel and Gretel?
Yes, dear.
How did they show people the way to the witch's house where they were being held prisoner?
Why, they dropped breadcrumbs, I think, all along the trail as they went into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see.
That's right. I did it with the little capsules while I was riding in that truck. I cut a hole in one of those sacks. I knew I had to lead someone to wherever the truck was going, and then I thought of Hansel and Gretel.
There's a trail of capsules running all the way out here for blocks. One of our prowl cars started following it. Figured some truck was losing all this stuff and didn't know it. Then the officers began looking around this warehouse.
Do people get so desperately addicted to sleeping pills?
Yes, very often. Then they develop barbiturate poisoning and keel over suddenly on the street. City Hospital often gets cases like that. And I know an asylum that has victims of barbiturates who went into complete nervous collapse. You see, Jean, the health department of each city is responsible for stopping its illegal use. But most of them are handicapped. Not enough men, not enough funds. So the wise guys move in and make cash. Sell them in all-night movies, sell them outside of flop houses. Yes, even pick up victims supposedly cured as they come out of the hospitals.
Well, I'll never have that trouble.
How do you know, Mrs. Abbott?
No woman would ever have trouble falling asleep after spending an evening with Pa.
The National Broadcasting Company has presented The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as those popular personalities of detective fiction, Pat and Jean Abbott, created by Francis Crane. The cast included Everett Sloan, Jean Darling, Mandel Kramer, and Lon Clark. The Adventures of the Abbotts was written by Howard Merrill. Original music composed and directed by Dewey Bergman. Produced by Ted Lloyd and Bernard L. Schubert. Directed and recorded by Harry Frazee. Next week, same time, same station. Another exciting adventure in crime with Pat and Jean in The Adventures of the Abbotts.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
After all, a girl might expect almost anything on a second honeymoon. Anything. But murder.
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Les Damon and Claudia Morgan as Pat and Jean Abbott, those popular characters of detective fiction created by Francis Crane. NBC invites you to join Pat and Jean each week at this time for another exciting recorded adventure in romance and crime. Now here is Jean Abbott to set the stage for tonight's puzzle in murder.
Pat and I had left San Francisco, our hometown and headquarters for Pat's business as a private detective. We'd taken the car and headed off into the mountains, high up, where it was cool, quiet, and we could be alone. You can underline that word alone. We were going to enjoy a second honeymoon. Enjoy is putting it mildly. We had so much fun, we decided to play hooky from the Cops and Robbers game for an extra week and drive east across the plains. Just wander and stare like tourists at the scenery. Chat with the characters in those isolated towns. Wind up evenings at a lodge under a desert sky. The heartland of the States, as you drive across, is empty for huge stretches, with raw gashes cut deep into the bare face of the earth. It's rock-strewn, solitary, sometimes ominous. Blue, Pat?
Oh, little darling. Just thinking about this racket I'm in.
Oh, what's wrong with it? You catch killers, you earn a fat fee.
Yeah, big deal.
Oh, what's the matter with that, dear?
Oh, I don't know. I understand the details. Chemistry, physics, ballistics, law, that's easy. But why? Why this business of supposedly civilized human beings knocking each other off around the clock? I hope no reporter ever asked me my philosophy of crime. I haven't any.
Well, you're not usually philosophic, Pat. I know the symptoms, dear. When you get talkative and moody, you're, hungry.
Maybe.
Look, that sign.
Where?
Oh, we just passed a sign. It said, approaching Carville. How's for stopping there and having a steak?
Okay. Carville. Carville?
You know the town?
Oh, yeah, now I know. Larry Martin works here.
Well, who's Larry Martin?
Newspaper man, friend of mine. He used to work in San Francisco. Now he's managing editor of the Carville Register. We look him up.
Oh, that's a novelty.
What is?
An old friend of yours turning out to be a man instead of a gorgeous woman.
Dull, huh?
Oh, no, not for me. Maybe for you. You used to know women, brother.
Please. My wife is around.
Oh, sorry. What kind of guy is Larry Martin?
Oh, he's a crusader type. He used to say, I may be a starving newspaper man, but I take no applesauce from anybody. Sounds corny, but he meant it. He's out of date, but wonderful. You like him. And yarns. Oh, that guy will spin them all night. People he's met, impressions he's had about life.
Well, let's not get too enthusiastic, pal. We'll end up killing a whole evening with him. And this is our second honeymoon, remember?
Oh, no. Later on, you'll have to do something to remind me of it.
As you approach Carville, you sense the excitement of a boom town. The flashing neon signs in the twilight and a bit too big. Joey's air-cooled cafe, beer on ice, gas, souvenirs. The field hands dismount from their horses to play the pinball machine in the lobby of a cheap hotel. The newly made signs are crude with staggering prices. Shave, $1.50. You tense a bit coming in over the railroad tracks on the highway. Well, you know a boomtown often has a rough crime rate, too. Carville was a mining town before. The wooden arms of the old dredges and cranes loomed up against the dark sky, like gallows.
Oh, we don't have to bother looking for Larry in the phone book, dear. See the little two-story building over there? Carville Register.
Oh, fine, Pat. Oh, there's a parking spot.
Uh-huh. I used to tell Larry...
Don't turn around, dear.
Huh?
Just park quickly and quietly.
Why, what is it?
A staring contest. First, that cop glared at us for no reason, and now there are two men behind us staring.
Well, so what? It's a small town. We're strangers.
It looks like they hate you before they met you. It gives me the shivers. We raced up the rickety stairs of an old building. We found Larry Martin, the newspaper man. He was surprised and happy and insisted that we walk around with him and see his presses and teletypes. Then we went to dinner at a roadhouse on the state highway. It was a roadhouse you wouldn't expect in normal times. There was dice, roulette, slot machines. One of them even played for $100 gold pieces.
The carnival's doing all right, huh, Pat?
Yeah, Larry. How long will it last?
Well, no telling. That vein of ore they struck just doesn't seem to have an end. Besides, we're on the main road to Ferguson City, and there's been ore discovered there, too.
Uh-huh. Well, how's it going, Larry? The paper, I mean.
Oh, great.
You still saving the world every day in print?
No. I don't get out to the prospecting area much. Too busy at my desk. But there's some amazing stories about get-rich-quick boys breaking from there.
Well, who's the big shot?
Who do you mean, Jean?
Oh, that short, fat fellow. Just came in with the blonde girl, the one everybody's bowing and scraping to.
Oh, that's Uncle Walter.
Uncle Walter?
Walter Bradford. Now, there's the kind of amazing thing I mean. Walter used to own a general store here. Made a small living. Along came the boom, and Walter's probably the most important man in town. Very popular, very generous. That's why we call him Uncle Walter. He's an easy touch.
Well, if he's so popular, why the two mugs with him?
Those guys? Just friends.
Well, the blonde doesn't look like his wife. His wife would be older, not quite so brassy.
Well, she's, his girl, that's all. Quite a kid, Florence. Used to work in a diner on the highway.
Now she's wearing a mink. Yes, she must be quite a kid.
Does Bradford own this place?
Might have a small piece of it, I don't know.
Well, he certainly doesn't mind fighting in public.
What have you been up to, Pat? I got a wire story about you solving a robbery in San Francisco, but where were you before? It's been 2 years.
If you know this Walter, you better calm him down.
I'll never forget the last night we spent together, Pat, at Santa Monica, wasn't it?
Pat, look at that Florence go marching out. Talk about leaving in a huff.
Pat was supposed to get on the train back to see you, Gene. Do you mind if I tell her what happened?
Oh, go right ahead.
Well, the party was on the beach, Gene, not far from where Sunset Boulevard hits the Pacific and...
Pat!
It's outside, Gene. Something's happened out there.
They'll straighten it out. Just stay here.
Stay here? I just saw that blonde fall down through the glass door.
Same old Pat. Smells trouble like a hound dog. Goes racing for it. Come back, Pat.
I'll go with you, Pat.
Pat, I'm telling you...
I'll be right back, Larry.
If I can push my way through this crowd. Excuse me, please. Where are you, Jean?
Right behind you, dear.
There. Now...
Pat.
Huh?
Pat, she's dead. That spring knife stabbed her.
What's everybody standing around for? Send for the police.
Who are you?
Pat Abbott, private detective.
You can leave.
I said, did anybody send for the police? Don't allow anyone to leave the club. Lock the doors. Is there a doctor here?
You're all excited, aren't you, Mr. Abbott?
No, not at all, pal. Just routine.
I said you can leave. We'll try to struggle along without you.
Okay. I just wanted to help, Mr. Bradford.
How did you know my name?
Your Uncle Walter. It gets around.
The coroner's coming. He'll take care of everything.
Uh-huh. Now, somebody must have seen what happened. Who did? Mr. Bradford and this girl were just outside this doorway here.
Well, anybody see what happened? I said, did anybody see what happened? You see, Abbott? Nobody saw nothing. Nobody.
Now, that's ridiculous. Half a dozen people were standing here. You, from the parking lot. And you, the hat check girl. You both saw it, didn't you?
You're stinking drunk, Abbott.
Oh, come on. I'm perfectly sober.
What do you mean saying he's drunk? And what's this all about? Where are the police?
Break up this crowd. Everybody out. Quit snooping around. Are you hard of hearing, Abbott? I said everybody out.
Yes, I heard. I'm staying till the police arrive. A girl has been murdered. There are half a dozen witnesses. I want it cleared up.
We clean up our own mess. We don't want no help from outsiders.
When it comes to murder, you've got no choice.
You're in Carville, mister. We run it this way. You fancy guys can have your own ideas.
Now, look, Bradford, I wouldn't be boasting about this deal if I were you.
My gosh, and we were so hospitable till you, weren't we?
Murder is murder, Mr. Bradford, in Carville or anywhere else.
Oh, is that so? Well, now, I wouldn't have known that. I'm what you smart guys call a poor hick, Abbott. Never had a chance to learn much. You might think that was too bad. But it's awful handy sometimes being ignorant.
You're covering up a murder, Bradford. Now,
you let go of me. Now, you look, Abbott. Don't go sticking your kisser into something where you don't belong. No wonder I don't like your type. You talk too much. You get hot-headed. You think everything's your business.
Pat, listen to me. Now, calm down. Come here. I gotta talk to you. Pat, will you listen?
What kind of a town is this?
He won't listen to reason, Larry. Not from me, anyways. You try if you want.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bradford.
Yes, sir.
Pat, get out of town now as fast as possible.
Are you crazy, Larry? What's got into you?
I don't understand what you're trying to...
Jean, Pat, I lied to you.
You what?
Walter owns this place. He owns the town. He runs it. We have a figurehead mayor and a phony police department. Brawls happen in this trap every night.
Brawls? This was murder.
I'm telling you, this is Walter's town. He gets away with anything.
He and his hoods?
Everybody in this town either owes Walters or is scared of him.
You too?
Yeah. Me too. But there's no time to explain. I know how Walter thinks. I know what he's liable to do.
What's he liable to do? I recognize the spring knife that killed that girl, Larry. The sterling silver handle. Bradford was toying with it at the table before they went outside. This is an open and shut case. Any jury would convict him in a minute. He'll be in the death house very soon.
That's what you think. Oh, you're still the same, Pat, huh? Same cockeyed sense of justice that works overtime. Doesn't always come out that way, Pat.
Larry, you can't just write this off. They aren't going to wipe that girl's blood off the floor, toss the body in the drink, and forget it. I won't let them. The authorities won't let them.
What authorities? The police of this town? Some other town, you think? Who's going to tell them? Who'll testify against him if by some miracle he's brought to trial? Run for that parking lot, Pat. Take Jean and head for the highway this minute. The coroner will clean up.
Clean up? Run away? Me?
Yeah, you. The big deal detective was up against the facts of life for a change. He'll knock you off, Pat. You're the only thorn in his side now, you and Jean. As long as you're within this city limits, you're fair game, a walking target. I've got to get back to the office, make up the first edition. Remember, just get out. Don't pick a fight. Don't ask questions. Write to me, huh? Tell me how it goes. And take care. Keep your nose clean.
No, Larry, wait a minute. I don't get it, Jean. He's like a terrified rabbit.
Well, what'll we do?
Call the state police, that's what. Come on, I'll show you. Now walk out casually. No wisecracks. Head for the door, then dash for the car.
We stole out, bewildered and tense. Pat was very bitter. Walter and his boys obviously had an eye on us. But we got out and found a phone booth.
All right, this will do it.
Who are you calling, Pat?
Ferguson City. This town is sold out. Bradford owns it like it was his own backyard. We need help from outside. I'll have the state troopers here in 10 minutes.
Your call, please.
State Police Headquarters, Ferguson City. This is urgent.
One moment, please.
Watch the door, Jean. If you spot anybody that looks suspicious, tell me. I'll hang up. We'll try from another place.
Sorry, sir. Lines to Ferguson City are tied up.
All the lines?
I can try again later. May I have your name and number?
Never mind. Lines are tied up. That's a stall. Bradford's got that night operator working for him. It's a cinch in a little town like this. 2 o'clock in the morning. Why would the lines be tied up?
Well, how about sending a telegram?
No, telegram office is closed. I noticed it on the way over.
Well, let's drive there. It's about 50 miles. We can make it in an hour, dear.
Right, come on, to the car. You got the road map?
In the glove compartment.
Okay.
Start towards the highway, and I'll give you instructions as you go, dear.
All right. We forget to put gas in this thing? No, look. Tank is full. I'll try the lights.
Oh, they go on fine. Nothing wrong with the battery. You can hear the spark.
Yeah. I think I know why we can't start. Wait here.
What is it, Pat?
That's what I thought. They botched up the motor while we were calling. We'll never start this car tonight. Come on, Jean, get out.
Okay. Where are we off to?
To the bus station.
Wait, Pat.
Huh?
Don't move.
What?
Across the street, 2 mugs. They were with Walter. You see them under the street lamp?
Yeah. All right, walk slowly. That's it, easy. See them reflected in that shop window?
Pat, this whole town is a trap for us.
Yeah. All right, walk faster. But when we hit the corner, run.
We made it to the corner. We ran 2 blocks in the pitch-black night. We saw the bus station. It was deserted. But there was a light on and a man at the ticket booth.
Help you, ma'am?
We want 2 tickets on the next bus to Ferguson City.
Ferguson
please,
City.
Please, hurry.
Ferguson City. Sorry, it's all reserved.
When does it leave?
Well, be here in about 30 minutes.
There's no one around. Where are the passengers with the reservations?
Well, it ain't our fault if they don't show up.
Uh-huh. What other buses leave tonight?
Ain't no more tonight.
You sure?
You trying to tell me my business?
Never mind, skip it. Come on, Jean.
Pat, the railroad station. We could try that.
Yes, maybe. It's obvious that Bradford's got everybody eating out of his hand. Which way is the railroad station?
2 blocks north.
Thanks. Let's go, Jean.
Oh, Pat, the ticket booths are closed.
Well, there must be somebody around here. Trains come through. They wouldn't desert the place. Hello in there. Anybody inside? Open this window. Come on, open up in there.
Take it easy, stranger. What are you trying to do? Break something? Wake up the whole town?
I'm sorry, officer. There doesn't seem to be anybody around.
So what?
Well, I want 2 tickets on the next train out.
Ticket seller's going to eat.
Well, there must be somebody here.
Ain't nobody.
Are you sure, officer?
I'm sure. Now cut out banging on the door and yelling, or I'll haul you in for creating a public disturbance.
Well, when is the ticket seller coming back?
I wouldn't know.
Where does he go to eat?
What business is it of yours? He ain't here. He won't be back for a long time. Now move along.
Pat, there isn't any way out. And I'm afraid they'll kill us.
Yeah. You can kind of feel it. Sense it in the air. They're watching us. Waiting to make the kill.
Pat, darling, I'm so scared.
I know, dear, I know. But we mustn't stop trying. Now, come on. There's one more chance. A gas station might be open on the highway. Yes, look, there's a gas station, see? No, we just wait for a car.
It's awfully lit up here, Pat.
So we'll crouch down here, back of this sign. Now, if anybody leaves a car open for a second, we grab it.
Uh-huh.
Shh. There's one.
No, he won't get out, Pat. He'll just ask for gas and sit there.
That's right. But the station attendant will turn around then. Maybe go inside to get change. We'll get a break. The driver will be alone at the wheel. We're lucky. The man is driving and he's alone.
How do we handle it?
Now, look, I'll slug the driver. You jump in, grab the wheel. I'll toss him aside and get in with you. Now, this is our last out, Jean. Now, come on. Watch. Wait. He asked for the gas. Good. He wants something the guy has to get from inside. All right, now I'll sneak around the far side by the guy's wheel. Grab him from in back. You go in the other side. Now, it's got to be done very quickly. You ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Sorry, pal. I'll take this car. Get in, Jean.
I'm in?
I'll let go of your throat in a minute, pal. I'm not going to strangle you. I just don't want you to make any noise. Sorry, I'm going to borrow the car. I'll just toss you over the side. Take it away, Jean.
Which way, dear?
Just follow the signs to the state highway.
Oh, brother, I thought we'd never get out of this town. Oh. I guess we're in the clear.
No, faster, Jean. Drive faster. That truck, Jean, look out.
You all right, Pat?
Yes.
Oh, that crazy truck driver cutting us off. He's standing right in our way. I'll get him out. Get out of the way. Pull to the side.
You're wasting your breath, Mrs. Abbott. He ain't moving, not till I get in your car.
Pat, this man...
Easy, Jean. I was afraid this was the deal.
I'm going to sit in the back of your car. Do you mind?
Yes, I mind.
I got my own invitation. This 38. Start up. Take the next side road off the highway.
Do everything he says, Jean.
There's a warehouse 2 blocks down. Pull up there. All right, leave the car. Don't worry about it. You won't be coming back. Walk into that warehouse. Go on. The side door's open. Push it and go on in. All right, shut the door and walk down to the far end.
Now, you're one of Bradford's suckers, huh? Taking a chance on a double murder rap for dear old Uncle Walter.
Shut up.
Suppose it gets out that you knocked us off. What'll Bradford do? Send a love letter to the death house?
I said shut up.
We drove here from farther west. They'll know we passed through Carboon. They'll know we never got any further. They'll...
Stop, Gene! Behind these barrels, follow me.
You all right?
Yes, dear. Oh, what a wallop. I think he's out cold.
No, just for a minute. I didn't clip him square, just enough to knock him down. I had the wrong angle. And the shots went wild. Maybe I can get him to fire the rest of his bullets. I'll make a sound. Move the barrel. Stay very low. That's good. Now stay here. Don't budge. I'll try to sneak around in back of him. I'll crawl behind these barrels.
Okay, dear, but be careful.
Come on out, Abbott. I dare you show your face. You hear me? Come on out. Okay, Abbott. My gun's empty now. Come on out. We'll make a deal. Abbott? Where are you?
Run for the door, Gene. This time I caught him right. Now, come on, let's go.
Darling, your mouth. He's ripped it.
Never mind.
Where to now?
The whole town will be after us, hunting us like a wolf pack. Be a lynch mob. And where's that side door? Oh, yeah, good. Sure enough, there's more hoods coming down the side street. Here.
We're lost, Pat. It's just no use. It's no use at all.
Wait a minute. There's one outside chance. We're going to the newspaper office to see Larry Martin. Even if the whole town's bottled up, there's one gimmick. Come on, Gene.
Pat, I told you to get out of town. Walter's in the other room checking tomorrow's paper.
Sure. To be certain nothing leaked, huh?
What are you doing here in my office, you and Jean? Trying to commit suicide?
We couldn't get out, Larry. They cut us off, tracked us down.
I can't help you. They'd kill me, too. Now get out, Pat. I beg you. I can't help you.
Nobody can help you, Abbott.
Uncle Walter.
Well, you should be pleased, Bradford. Your boys have been doing a good job.
Not good enough. You and your wife are still alive.
Now, sit down, Bradford.
Behave yourself, Abbott. Don't give me any orders. My mob's on the way here now, and you haven't got a bloody chance. You'll be a dead duck in 3 minutes.
I said sit down. Now, get this, Bradford. I may only have 3 minutes, but it's just long enough for me to kill you. And I'll do it, so help me. Before they come to take me, I'll see that you get it, and I can do it in 3 minutes.
Pat, there are a bunch of men down the street searching buildings.
You open your yap to call them, Bradford, and I'll kill you.
Pat, you're out of your mind. You haven't a chance
I
now.
do, though, Larry. Nobody's been thinking, that's all. There is a way to contact Ferguson City. Sure, the phones are out, the roads are blocked, but you can save it. That's why I came here.
What the devil are you talking about? Look out the window, up the street. Walter's boys.
Sure. Hang up, Abbott. Knock it off.
Bradford, I said if you open your mouth, I'll murder you. I've been around your type long enough to know 10 different ways of doing it, too. Now, listen, Larry. This is a newspaper. You belong to a wire service. You've got a teletype. You showed it to us before. It reverses, doesn't it? so you can send news bulletins out if a story breaks here. Now, where's your reverse teletype?
No, Pat.
You do what he says, Larry, and when the boys get here, I'll have them string you up.
Larry, where's that reverse teletype? Which one of these confounded gadgets is it, and how does it work?
Well, I think it's this one, Pat, but I don't know how to signal with it.
Speak up, Larry.
Larry, you help them like a little Boy Scout, and my boys will take care of you but good. We'll drive one of your own news trucks right over your yellow face.
Larry, I know you sold out to Bradford, but doesn't your stomach turn every time he gives you an order?
What kind of talk is that? Don't you feel good when Uncle Walter hands you the dough, Larry? Big dough? More than a bum like you ever saw in his whole crummy life? Who set you up here, small fry? Who took you on when you hopped up that freight without a dime? Is this the thanks I get? Is this the payoff?
Cut it out, both of you. I can't think.
Larry, listen to me. You can crack Bradford now. You've got him right in your own hands. Well, there's just about 60 seconds left. Come on, boy. This whole town has got its face in the dirt. Bradford steps all over everybody. You know the pattern. Now you can break it.
Pat, they're very close. They're almost coming up the stairs.
They'll kill us, Pat. They'll kill us.
That's right, Larry. So be smart. Just wait a minute. You going to be a penniless bum again, a world saver, a pushed around no good newspaper man? You put one finger on that teletype, Larry, and you not only break me, you'll break a dozen guys. And they'll be out looking for you, and they'll take it out on you, inch by inch.
Don't listen to him. You've been threatened before, Larry. How many times? And every time you did the right thing. Where are your guts, Larry?
They're coming up the stairs, Pat.
Well, Larry...
Flip the second key on your left, Gene. It alerts Ferguson City for a news flash.
I got it.
Now pound it like a typewriter.
All right, Gene, transmit this. Send state troopers to Carville immediately. Murder.
Walter realized it was all over. The boys, terrified when they realized state troopers were coming, backed down. Several months later, Walter was tried for homicide and convicted. He said he'd killed Florence in a fit of passion when she threatened to leave him. Nobody bothered going to Walter's execution. Nobody gave a hoot. Pat and I drove on toward San Francisco and home. Larry Martin headed east to seek a job again, but this time with his immortal soul in his pocket. Pat and I were spinning along across the desert toward the Pacific Highway. Fine thing.
Meaning what?
Second honeymoon. Ducking bullets.
Oh, well, it's different. You've got to admit that.
Well, I'm not that progressive, Mr. Abbott. Me, I like my second honeymoons not different and fancy and new. I like everything the old-fashioned way.
The National Broadcasting Company has presented The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as those popular personalities of detective fiction, Pat and Jean Abbott, created by Francis Crane. The cast included Tom Shirley and Joe DeSantis. The Adventures of the Abbotts was written by Howard Merrill. Original music composed and conducted by Dewey Bergman. Produced by Ted Lloyd and Bernard L. Schubert. Directed and recorded by Harry Frazee. This is Wayne Howell speaking. Next week, same time, same station. Another exciting adventure in crime with Pat and Jean in The Adventures of the Abbotts.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
After all, if a girl wears a dazzling necklace worth a fortune, should it make a man want to kiss her or kill her?
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as Pat and Jean Abbott, those popular characters of detective fiction created by Francis Crane. NBC invites you to join Pat and Jean each week at this time for an exciting adventure in romance and crime. In our story tonight will be Miss Sherry Britton making her dramatic debut in radio. Now here is Claudia Morgan as Jean Abbott to set the stage for tonight's puzzle in murder. A story entitled The Fabulous Emerald Necklace.
The necklace was a breathtaking collection of precious stones. It belonged to Mrs. Dexter Blake, a curious young woman without any social background who'd somehow managed to marry the heir to the Blake fortune. Late one night, she and her husband had left the Stardust Club and were strolling to their Park Avenue townhouse, which was just around the corner from the club.
Really, Kathy, I don't think you behaved very well at the club.
Oh, will you stop picking on me, Dexter? Don't be so prissy. You've been doing it all evening. I just had a little fun at the club. After all, how square can you get? Really, sometimes I...
Now, look, I've had more than enough trouble because of you.
The snobbery deal again?
Now, it isn't snobbery, Kathy. It's just that I do have a rather well-known family. We're sensitive to publicity. The columnists were very cruel when you married me, and every time you misbehave publicly, you're just proving their point.
You believe their point, too, don't you? I mean that there's something very wrong about your having married a divorcee, especially one whose family wasn't descended from the original settlers, Pilgrims, or whatever it was.
Oh, let's drop it.
It's come up too often. Now, let's settle it. You'd like to get out of our marriage, wouldn't you?
Well, No, darling, I've never said that, never thought it.
Don't try thinking of it, Dexter. You'd never make it. If you don't like bad publicity, just imagine what I'd do if you ever threatened to get rid of me. I'd give those...
Shut up, Mrs. Blake, and back into that doorway.
What? Who are you?
What's the idea? Get away from her.
I said for you two to get off the straight and into that doorway. I've got a .38 here, and I'll empty it into both of you.
Why, of all the...
Go on. Into the doorway. That's it. Now I'll take that necklace of yours, Mrs. Blake.
Cheap hoodlum. You think you can get away with this just because you're waving that gun? Why, I...
That's it, Mrs. Blake. I'll take the necklace. Thank you.
You give me that necklace?
Take your hands off me.
No, police! Police!
I told you not to do that. I told you.
Come back here, you. Oh, Dexter. Dexter, he's dead. He's dead.
The jewel thief disappeared into the night, leaving Mrs. Dexter Blake hysterical beside the dead body of her husband. Pat and I had been home that night. All we knew about Kathy Blake was what we'd read in the gossip columns. But the next morning, Pat had been invited to the Sterling Insurance Company. He was in the office of a company executive, Frank Tracy.
I sent for you, Mr. Abbott, because this case calls for a man of your caliber. We'll be glad to pay any reasonable fee, of course.
Is this a reasonable case, Mr. Tracy?
Well, frankly, it's rather difficult. That's why I'd rather you handle this case than any one of our routine investigators. Our company insured Mrs. Blake's necklace, Mr. Abbott.
Mm-hmm. For how much?
$200,000.
Can Mrs. Blake describe the man who attacked him?
Well, she's quite vague about it, but something very fascinating came to me in the mail this morning.
Oh, what is it?
A note from the killer.
May I see it? Mm-hmm.
You'll notice, of course, that it's been written very much like a ransom note in a kidnapping. No use of pens, pencils, or typewriter. The letters look as though they've been cut out of newspapers and pasted together.
Yes, they do.
He makes what he believes is a business offer. As you see, he wants $50,000. For that sum, he'll leave the necklace where our company can find it. We return it to Mrs. Blake and save $150,000.
Yes, very wise, too. The thief knows he'd have a difficult time disposing of the pieces through a fence. It's identified too easily.
Exactly.
I see he doesn't mention how he proposes to have you give him the cash. I suppose he'll get in touch with you later.
Exactly. Now, couldn't we trap him by promising to pay off at a certain place and at a certain time?
I doubt it. Nobody would try a swindle like this without planning it very carefully.
Well, then what do we do?
I'd like to talk to the dead man's wife.
All right. I'll arrange for you to meet Mrs. Blake. Oh, and you'd better have your guard up. She's very beautiful and very clever. I think of her as a kind of Lucrezia Borgia.
Oh, really?
Yes, especially for one reason.
And what's that?
Lucrezia murdered her husband.
I was gallivanting around San Francisco buying play suits for the summer. A very innocent cherub indeed. And that husband of mine was closeted in a private office with Mrs. Dexter Blake.
Mrs. Blake, you say you hardly saw this man who shot your husband?
Well, it was very dark, Mr. Abbott. He pushed us away from the lamppost into the doorway. I could just see his shadow.
How tall was the shadow?
Average height. It's very difficult for me to be accurate. I was terribly excited. I didn't notice details.
Well, if you couldn't see very well, you could hear. How about his voice?
Rather odd, come to think of it. He didn't sound like the usual gangster. Seemed rather cultured.
Mm-hmm. That all the information you can give me?
I'm afraid so. Sorry I'm not being very helpful.
Well, unfortunately, Mrs. Blake, these cases often lead to our having to ask embarrassing questions, probing into the darker corners of people's lives.
Go right ahead.
Were you getting along well with your husband?
Oh, I suppose so. How well do people get along after they've been married quite a while?
I'm not a philosopher, Mrs. Blake, just a detective. Did you have reason to believe your husband was, mixed up in any activity he'd rather you didn't know about?
Is that your diplomatic way of saying, was there another woman? I don't think so. I don't follow you, Mr. Abbott. I wear a necklace, a very expensive one. Some thief holds us up, becomes excited, shoots my husband. And you're making a whole French novel out of it.
That's because, Mrs. Blake, very often what looks like a simple hold-up or assault or what have you is actually more complicated than it appears. It's often a cover-up for something more deeply motivated.
I am not a woman of very deep motivations. My interests and desires are normal and obvious. As for my late husband...
Yes?
Dexter was not a man of many dimensions either.
Just folks, huh? With a few $1 million.
You're a detective, Mr. Abbott, not a humorist.
Who collects on your husband's life insurance?
I do.
All of it?
All of it.
How much is that?
Oh, about $500,000.
Do you also inherit all his property?
Mm-hmm. It's worth another $1.5 million.
Well, we were speaking of motives a while ago. You'll need an awfully good attorney to get you out of this.
Why? I'm perfectly innocent.
Well, I have an intuitive feeling about you, Mrs. Blake. Nothing too definite to support it. I think you didn't care very much for Dexter, but you had quite a passion for his checkbook.
What of it?
Well, for instance, you find yourself a mug. You make a deal with him. He holds you up, gets your $200,000 necklace as payment, and takes a pot shot at Dexter. You're the helpless wife. Dexter's a very dead pigeon. You come into Dexter's money, the mug disappears with his $200,000. Very nice.
I could have had anything I wanted from Dexter. Do you think I'd trade in a comfortable spot like that for the electric chair?
Maybe. Lots of people try it.
You're wasting your time, Mr. Abbott.
Oh, really?
Oh, not that I mind. Being questioned by a very handsome detective is so pleasant.
You've changed the subject.
Certainly. You're much more interesting. Married, Mr. Abbott?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. That makes it more fun.
Well, haven't you had enough entertainment these past few days?
Not of the right kind. You wrote my phone number in your notebook. Will you call me?
What for?
Why, you amaze me, Mr. Abbott. Some men have to be told everything.
That night at home, Pat told me about the case. Only because he had to, as I found out soon enough.
Now, dear, you know my policy about keeping you out of my cases.
Yes, teacher.
Now, for once in your life, you're going to come in very handy.
Oh, now you're getting sensible. You have such a brilliant wife, I never could see why you didn't use her talent.
Yes, well, look, brilliant wife. There's a way to get at this guy who likes emeralds and target practice with millionaires.
Well, how do you do it?
With a decoy duck.
That me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do I do?
We buy you a necklace.
Oh, this gets better all the time.
We buy you a cheap necklace.
You and Jack Benny, huh?
We get our friend Nick Scudder to put a line in this column about the gal who's always at the Stardust Club wearing a sensational necklace. That ought to start our boyfriend, who likes sparklers, chasing around after you. Now, he'd try to pick you up at the club.
But I'm hard to get, huh?
No, easy, very easy.
This wouldn't be typecasting, would it?
Now, to get the jewels you'll be wearing, he'll have to get you alone. So he'll probably ask you to his place. You'll both go outside and get a cab.
Pat Abbott, do you mean to say you're actually suggesting that I go to a nightclub, make a pitch at a killer, and then take a taxi ride alone with him?
Well, it'll be a special kind of cab.
What's special about it?
I'll be driving it.
Sounds like quite a Halloween party.
Well, it might not turn out to be so jolly, dear. That's what I don't like about my little scheme. You see, somebody in this deal might,
what?
Might decide that your throat is a good place to put old razor blades.
We bought a flashy-looking necklace. Nick Scudder plugged away in his column about, quote, the mysterious gal seen every night at the Stardust Club with a rock-studded horse collar that could pay the national debt, unquote. Outside the club a few nights later, Pat was at the wheel of a taxi. I was inside the club, sitting alone at the bar. A very oily-looking Joe came over to me, smiled, and, well, I knew this was our man. I fluttered my eyelids in the best Hollywood manner, and we were off to the races.
Don't tell me you're one of those awful people who like to drink alone.
No. I'm just new in town, and I haven't made friends yet.
Now, you've made one now. My name's Al. Al Francis.
Well, mine's Jean.
Mind if I join you for a drink?
Not at all. Do you always play the big bad wolf with all the Red Riding Hoods who come here?
Just the beautiful ones. They fascinate me for more reasons than one.
What do you mean?
I'm, psychic about them. I'll take you, for instance. I'll make a guess. I'd say you were married to a very wealthy man, much older than you are. You're sick of him. You're bored. You've come here for some excitement.
Go on.
That much was a guess. Now I'll tell you something I'm very sure of. You're looking for excitement, Lovely. You're shopping at the right counter.
I wasn't quite sure if Al Francis was just being amorous or if he suspected I was a plant and might suddenly give me the same treatment he'd given Dexter Blake. We stayed at the Stardust Club for about an hour. Francis hardly even eyed my necklace. He became more romantic and suggested we go to his apartment. We stepped outside to hail a cab. A cab I knew would be driven by Pat.
Hey, taxi.
Oh, here comes one, Al.
Oh, great. Go ahead, Jean. Step in.
Where to, Doc?
1785, Bayside.
Right.
Nice to be alone for a while, huh, Jean? Just the two of us?
Mm-hmm.
Jean, every minute I was in the club, I wanted to kiss you.
Oh, Al, the driver can see it.
Why does he care? Come here. Oh, Gene.
Did you say 1785 Bayside?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Look at those stars up there, Gene. See? Through the window. We mustn't let them go to waste. Just one kiss. Come close to me. Closer.
Oh. Hey, Doc. I don't think there is any 1785 Bayside.
I have reason to think there is, driver. You see, I've been living there for 9 years.
Oh, okay.
Gene, honey, I never thought I'd be lucky enough to meet anyone like you. I always used to say to myself, deep in my heart, Al, I said...
Hey, you think the Yankees got a chance this year?
Look, friend, just drive the car.
Okay, Doc.
When you walked into the Stardust Club, Gene, I thought for a while that someone might be with you. Then I realized you were alone. Took a lot of courage to go over to you. I don't know what I'd done if you turned me down. We're together now.
That'll be 45 cents. Thanks.
Come on, Gene.
Al, I've sort of a headache.
I've got just the thing for it. Come on.
No, really, I think I'd better keep the cab and go home. I'm so tired.
You'll feel better when we get upstairs. I have some turkey on ice and a bottle of Riesling.
Yes, but thanks. But
don't disappoint me. Just for a few minutes. We can...
Go on, Bud. You heard the lady. She wants to go home.
Who asked you to get into this?
I invited myself.
You know, I met some fresh cab drivers in my day, but you...
Look, the lady has a headache. But she's going home now.
Oh, you're going to get real cute about this, aren't you?
Good night, pal.
I'd love to knock your teeth down your
throat.
Al,
don't start a fight with him, please.
Come on, Bud. Let's play rough. I don't like your face. I think I could fix it up a little.
Well,
Al, please. No one must know you and I are...
All right, Gene, all right. I'll call you tomorrow. What's your number?
Just meet me at the club. Same time as tonight.
Fine. Bye, Gene.
Bye. You're the most wonderful cab driver I've ever had, Pat.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Where to now?
Just drive along the bay.
But we don't live out this way.
Yes, I know. But didn't you hear what the man said? We mustn't let those stars go to waste.
Well, the fellow I borrowed the cab from is waiting.
It's all right. Cab drivers understand things like that. The next morning, Pat was just leaving his office. He was on his way to see Frank Tracy.
Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Abbott.
Well, Mrs. Blake.
Do you have a moment?
I certainly.
I've been wondering about what sort of progress you've been making. Have you found any clues to the identity of the man who killed my husband?
Oh, I don't talk about my cases until they're cleared up.
Oh, I think I have a right to know what you're doing. After all, I was married to Dexter.
Frightened, Mrs. Blake?
Why should I be?
Afraid that what comes out in the wash won't be very pretty?
Not in the least.
I went to the trouble of looking into the details of your background, Mrs. Blake. I wouldn't exactly call it nice reading for the kiddies. 3 husbands. One of them had to go to Mexico for his health when the Justice Department cracked down on the chemical monopoly. Another husband of yours has been barred from every racetrack in the country. Then there was that party in Hollywood where you ducked a marijuana charge that might have meant 5 years in the clink. How did you get out of that one? Buy off the judge?
Where'd you get all that information?
I called up the answer man.
Very funny.
Shall I tell you why you really came here, Mrs. Blake?
I want to know who killed my husband.
You came here because the life insurance company is ready to ante up with a small fortune now. You're his beneficiary. You're afraid I could prevent that by coming up with evidence that you might have done the killing yourself. You want to make sure I'll stay out of the picture.
You are going to stay out of the picture, Mr. Abbott.
Well, I'll tell you the next step, too. Now comes the pearl-handled revolver in the pocketbook.
When you get shot with one of those, you're just as dead as with the other kind. So help me if you stop me from collecting Dexter's life insurance.
Threats are a dime a dozen to me, Mrs. Blake. They're part of my business. I collect them, like other people collect butterflies. Good afternoon, Mrs. Blake.
Look, you 2-bit keyhole peeper. If you and your junior G-Man badge stand between me and a couple of $1 million, it wouldn't mean a thing to me to kill you. I've done a little investigating myself. Details about your background. You're mixed up in half a dozen cases where one of the suspects might knock you off at any time. And if you're ever found dead, my friend, it'd take the police forever to figure who did it. They'd get into a jigsaw puzzle that'd have them flipping. And I don't mind telling you about it this way either, because I also found out your office isn't tapped.
Oh, it's very thoughtful of you.
I think of everything. Like, for instance, down at the piers, there are men who would be only too glad to take care of you for me. I can buy your death, Pat Abbott. A man no one ever heard of, no connection with you, bumps you off. Disappears on a boat to heaven only knows where.
I wonder if you're so upset with me because I might cost you the $2 million, or because I froze up when you made a play for me.
Oh, it's the $2 million. And as for you, personally, I
said good afternoon, Mrs. Blake, a long time ago.
You're underestimating me, Mr. Abbott. And you may not live to regret it.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Blake.
That little interruption over, Pat went on to the insurance company's office to see Frank Tracy.
Now, Mr. Tracy, I think I've got your man.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Who is he?
He lives at 1785 Bayside. Smooth-looking chap, tall, thin, dresses very well.
Oh. How did you do it? Did you see the necklace? How can you be sure?
I arranged a trap for him. Got him to go after a necklace my wife purposely wore to the Stardust Club.
I see. Well, what are we waiting for? Why don't we...
No. If we sail in and grab him now, we won't have much evidence to hold him on. We've got to give him more rope. He's seeing my wife again tonight.
Is he connected with Kathy Blake, as I suspected?
Well, that's hard to tell. But give me another 24 hours. I think we'll strike oil.
You mean we can arrest him within 24 hours?
Probably.
Excellent, Mr. Abbott, excellent. Now, do be careful. Francis is liable to be very slippery. Oh, how about Mrs. Blake? Do we just let her wander around?
Yeah. Remember the nursery rhyme about the lost sheep? Leave them alone, and they'll come home.
That night, I put on a very slinky evening gown. I was getting ready for another session at the club, but Pat stopped me.
You're not going to the club, Jean.
Oh, Pat Abbott, just because you're going to close in on Francis, you're getting the willies. You're afraid I'll be hurt.
No, that's not the reason.
Well, then what is it?
Francis won't be at the club to see you. He's going to be late. Very late.
I couldn't follow Pat's reasoning at the moment. But, as I learned later, Francis was at home just then having a visitor.
1 second. Sorry to keep you waiting. What are you doing here? Why the gun? I didn't make any mistakes. Put down the gun. Put down the gun.
You did make a mistake, Al.
No, Tracy, no. I did everything you said.
But I told you not to kill anyone, Al.
Blake tried to stop me. He started screaming for the police.
Then you should have beat it.
Well, you told me...
Where is the necklace?
It's in the dresser drawer. Here, I'll get it for you. Here's the necklace.
Thank you, Al. Lovely, isn't it?
I didn't mean to kill Blake. I just wanted to shut him up. I just meant to hit him in the leg.
You were very careless.
They're not too close to me, are they? Now, take your hide. Where is he? Who is he?
Abbott? He's very close, Al. Too close for comfort.
Well, what do we do?
Oh, the answer is simple.
Well, can you get me out of here? Get me out of the country, maybe? Till things cool off?
No, Al.
Well, then, give me my cut on the necklace. I know some people. They'll help. With 25 grand, I can travel fast.
You're not getting any money.
Well, then what?
It's terribly dangerous for me to have you alive, Al. You get rattled too easily. You might say something that would be very embarrassing.
Well, now, wait, Tracy. Listen to me. I don't want to cut. I wouldn't sing to Abbott. I'll go away. That's all I want. I want to get away. You've got to let me.
Sorry, Al. It would be stupid of me to let you go. Wherever you are, you're a potential threat to me. Now, we're wasting time.
Oh, don't shoot, Tracy. Don't shoot. Don't!
Drop the gun, Tracy.
What? Abbott! Ow! Ow! My hand!
Keep away from that window, Al. Oh. I've got more bullets and I like playing rough, remember?
You're the cab driver.
That's right. I overheard your conversation, Tracy. Al wasn't half as careless as you were.
Look, maybe we can make a deal, Abbott. What do you say? How about a deal?
Our company had a very high recovery rate on jewelry, Tracy. And you insisted on not working with the police. That seemed kind of strange. But you clinched it yourself the last time we talked. When I told you I'd found our man, you said Francis is liable to be very slippery. I'd never mentioned his name, Tracy.
Look, I've got plenty of money, Abbott. Make it worth your while to forget this.
I purposely told you I wasn't closing in on Al for 24 hours. I knew you'd come in here to see him. Now get up, Tracy.
How's 10,000 cash right now?
Stand up.
15,000.
I said stand up. You too, Al. I've got the same taxi waiting, Francis. The one we were in before. But this time we'll all have a nice, quiet, smooth ride. This time we'll have a police escort.
A few hours later, Pat had disposed of his two friends and had come home to his ever-loving wife.
Well, darling, I suppose you're full of questions, as usual.
As usual. Tracy had a very cushy spot figured out for himself, didn't he, Pat?
He sure did. The lug steals the jewelry. Tracy gets his company to shell out, say $50,000 to get it back. And Tracy quietly splits it with his pal. The company saves a fortune. Gal gets her necklace. Everything is moonlight and roses.
Well, what about Mrs. Blake?
No, she was just a hellcat. She wasn't in on this deal at all.
Okay, Bob. Now, how do we go about celebrating your solving the case? You want to go down to Fisherman's Wharf and have a seafood banquet?
I don't know.
Head for Chinatown and have pressed duck?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
You got any other suggestions?
Well, yes, I did have something else in mind. What do we got in the refrigerator?
Just some cold chicken, a couple of cans of beer.
Well, let's stay right here and eat. Alone.
But why?
Because right here they got services the other places don't have on the menu.
The National Broadcasting Company has presented The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as those popular personalities of detective fiction, Pat and Jean Abbott, created by Francis Crane. In our story tonight, Miss Sherry Britton portrayed the role of Kathy Dexter. Others in the cast were Everett Sloan and Santos Ortega. The Adventures of the Abbotts was written by Howard Merrill. Original music composed and conducted by Dewey Bergman. Produced by Ted Lloyd and Bernard L. Schubert. Directed and recorded by Harry Frazee. And now this is Wayne Howell inviting you to join us next week, same time, same station, for another exciting adventure in crime with Pat and Jean in The Adventures of the Abbotts.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.